Hi, I am Dr. Jennifer Skrabutenas at Galban Natural Health, the chiropractor and acupuncturist of Naperville for all your health questions and needs. And I have with me today Annette Licitra from Passionate Palate. She's going to talk to us a little bit about what she does and how she helps heal people. So I'm going to start off just asking you, Annette, if you can tell me a little bit about yourself and your work.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Jennifer, for having me on. I truly appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. So my name is Annette Licitra, and I'm a certified holistic health coach and also a wellness chef. And I was going to say I'm the CEO and founder of Passionate Palate. So it is a play on my name, Annette Passionate. And it's because I'm very passionate about what goes on our plates, because that's what helps us in our healing process, but really just to feel good and feel vibrant and keep this body moving in the way it was designed to be, which is healthy and strong. So I focus on digestive health, autoimmune, and also increasing energy. I do that through cleanses and also through my digestive health immersion course, and also doing cooking classes. So that's what I really focus on, and also plant-based. So I don't believe in any one particular belief system because everybody's body is so different. But I like to focus on plant forward. So as many plants as we can possibly get into our lifestyle, because this is not a diet. It's stuff I try to shy away from that word too, because it's just that connotation of diet, but it's really a lifestyle. And it's more so just getting the most medicine and medicinal plants, medicinal foods into the body just to keep it moving. So that's a quick background on what it is that I do.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And you kind of answered a little bit of the first question that I was going to ask you. And it's just, why is healthy diet important for someone who wants to focus on a natural health? I mean, it sounds like you covered some of it, but yeah, why is diet so important?
Yeah, we see so many people that our society walking around chronically ill, and that is not the way our bodies were designed. They're designed to have a full functioning immune system and to be very supported, and truly just to have the right building blocks to put in to keep our bodies healthy. And when I say healthy, everybody's definition of healthy is a little bit different. So I understand that. But if we think about it as a human, our bodies were designed to work well, not to be sluggish, not to have brain fog, not to have stomach issues. So that's why I think really just taking care of the body, we need the right building blocks in there, and having the most, when we think of food is really a resource of energy. It's just energy. Yes. And how do we, it is to be enjoyed. I get that too. It's to be enjoyed and have fun with, but it's really first off supposed to be an energy source to feed our cells, to feed our joints, our organs, everything, and to feed our brain. So that's why it's so important to put the right stuff in, but just to keep us moving and doing. We all have a purpose on this planet, and in order to do that and fulfill our mission and our purpose, we need to feel good. Health is wealth. If we're not feeling well, we can't physically get up and go do what we need to do and fulfill our purpose.
Yeah, and you are absolutely right. Food is a building block for us. It is a foundation for even our biochemistry. So it is so important. And I kind of want to know how food has impacted your health. How has good nutrition changed your health and the way that you've lived your life?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I had to start this journey. It was in 2014. I really started to focus on what I was eating, only because I was not feeling well. I had a lot of digestive issues, a lot of skin problems, lots of infections, lots of urinary tract infections, and all of that I did not realize was what I was eating, and of course stress, but what I was eating was really affecting all of that and feeding the problem as opposed to making it better. So back in 2014, I actually found out that through a food sensitivity test, which I highly recommend, is very helpful because, and I know you do them there, so that's amazing. I found out that I had to cut gluten out, and I was like, what? Like, that's all I eat. So with all of that, I also had found that there were other foods that were bothering my body. And so I had to start shifting what went on my plate. And I walked out of corporate working in 3 large food companies. So I really got a chance to see what went into the food system too. But for myself, yeah, that's a whole nother story. But I really had to shift as I started shifting what I was eating. I did leave the jobs that I was in, but I noticed as I put more fruits, veggies, nuts and seeds, just different plants and herbs, especially. So herbals and spices, my body started to heal and it started to really show. My skin got better. I noticed my, alleviation of like lots of digestive issues that I had before were alleviated. So that's why I find it so important. And that was part of my journey, is really shifting what I was eating because I had found out that certain foods were bothering me. And it was like a whole new world. It was an adventure because I'm like, what do I do now? And I had to really take that into my own hands and say, okay, that's it. You know what? This has been bothering me for so long. I have to make a change. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, but that's for me. I decided to do that. And I haven't looked back, and I've actually, went to health coaching school and culinary school so that I can help other people shift what is, what illnesses they may be experiencing. And really it's the symptoms. I don't believe in disease because it's just a dis-ease of the body and it's just out of balance. So that's how it's helped me a lot.
Yeah. And I think your story is something that we hear a lot, right? People come in and they say they've had these issues, they make these changes to diet and lifestyle, and they can't believe how they hadn't done this before. They think, oh my goodness, I could have felt better 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if I had just made these simple changes I didn't know. And they were just kind of lacking that direction. And I do think for a lot of people, you hear healthy eating and they go, okay, well, that feels overwhelming. I don't know where to begin or how to start that. And I think what you offer is really helpful because you can give people some guidance in that. But if people wanted to know just a simple way to eat healthy, do you have just a basic recommendation for that?
Yeah, I think just start slow unless you're really sick and then things need to shift. It's really making that decision to say, I want to take my health back into my own hands. I'm tired of outsourcing it, which we've done a lot, to if I can say it, broken medical model. But really taking your health back into your hands and starting to do some research, but really simple is even just changing something like, okay, I'm going to cut this out, but I'm going to add in. So really the key is crowding out with good foods. And then, that way you can take out some easy things.
Right.
For me, it was gluten as an example. So that's what I would say is just crowd out with good stuff. So putting in fruits and veggies before you're going to have that piece of chocolate cake, because then that your body starts to balance a little bit better. And pick one thing, if it's even just changing your water, hey, I'm going to do filtered water, or I'm just going to add in 1 apple per day. And that's what I'm going to do for a month. I'm just going to start that way and just make it easy to say, I'm going to get a little extra medicinal food in my body. Let's start with clean water, or let's start with an apple. I mean, apples are pretty inexpensive, so you can get those a lot. How do I really, so I think just starting slow and working, really plugging in to somebody who's been there before, an expert. So your expertise, being a doctor and really all that you do, because you see this all the time. And, obviously with what I do, and because I've been there. So just plugging in. And that's probably the first step, is finding someone who is an expert in what you're looking to do, and then continue from there. But just make it easier.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And I really like how you said crowd it out. So it's not the mindset of we're just taking away. It's not, we're just taking, we're adding to, we're supplanting with all of these good things. So it feels less like a punishment and more like a reward that way, which I really like that mindset. I think it's really helpful for people who are beginning that journey. I think that was great advice.
Yeah. Thank you. It's because, go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I love what you said there, because it really is about not restricting yourself, which is what a lot of people think when they're trying to eat healthy, or, oh, I have to eat, I can't eat this, I can't do that. That's a big one. And it's a mindset. It's really, how do I add in so it doesn't feel like it's a restriction, because there should be no restrictions,
Right. No, I thought that was a great way to look at it. again, it's a lifestyle change that you're making. I think it's really important to understand that. So I think you did a really good job articulating that. I think it's really helpful for people. And of course, if anyone had any more questions, they could defer to us for expertise. And I think that's really, people need guidance. And that's why people like us are here to help guide people who are on their journey for better health. So
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll kind of roll into some quick and easy questions for you. And I just was curious, for the people who would like to know, just if you had to pick top 3 natural foods that you want to recommend to someone who's just starting their journey, they want to improve their nutrition, just 3 simple things that they could do starting today.
Okay, so there's a lot, but yes, I would say apples. They're very hydrating to the body, and they're just so full of so many nutrients that can help. If you can't do apples, do pears. Those are fine too. And by no means is this a limited list because there's so many things, but I would say wild blueberries.
Okay.
And when I say wild blueberries, I mean there's frozen small wild blueberries. They're not the cultivated blueberries you typically find at the store. They're typically found frozen.
Okay.
So wild blueberries and honestly, berries. I would say berries. There's so many foods, fruits and veggies are truly all superfoods as long as they're not genetically modified and sprayed with tons of pesticides and herbicides, which I can get into at some point. But I would say that those and just, like I said, just really clean water. Clean water is very important. And if you get a chance to put a little, to enhance it a little, is putting some water with lemon juice, fresh squeezed lemon juice, because there's so many electrolytes and cleansing properties, and it just supports the body. So I'd probably say those 3.
Yeah, I think those are great ones for people starting out. And it's good just to say, okay, here's what I'm going to start with, add in, and we can do more later, but maybe this is how I experiment and just kick off this healthy eating that I'm going to do. So those are 3 really great tips. And I also had some kind of specific questions for you. So when people are thinking fruits and vegetables, what do you think about how to clean them properly and take care of them? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because there is a list by ewg.org. So it's environmentalworkinggroup.org. And I would say first, if you get a chance to take a look at the Dirty Dozen, so that means Dirty Dozen foods, what foods are the most highly sprayed with pesticides and herbicides, which of course we want to stay away from those as much as we possibly can. So looking to see what those are and getting those organic if you can. If not, conventional is still okay, in the sense of as long as you're getting that fruit, that veggie in. The clean 15 is the other one. Which ones can you get away with having more conventional? But if you're cleaning anything, I would suggest, really what I do is just sometimes with a bowl of water and add maybe a little less than a quarter cup of vinegar, and just white distilled vinegar, especially if it's something that is going to be non-organic, is taking that and just soaking it for a couple minutes and just cleaning it basically with that solution. So that way it's cheap. So it's very easy. It's less expensive. You don't need to buy like a vegetable wash or a veg wash that you might find at the store, because there can still be some interesting ingredients in there. So I like to just do vinegar and water, and then certain foods you don't want to soak for too long, like peaches, and so that's just something to keep in mind. But that's what I would say to help clean those, and just to focus on especially berries. Berries, you definitely want to get organic, because the pesticides and herbicides don't really get washed off. They sit then in the seeds. Unfortunately, they get really into the berry. So that'd be something I would just suggest.
Yeah, and I'm happy you actually mentioned EWG. I think it's a great resource. It's a third-party, non-for-profit website that really everyone should be accessing regularly. I always try to use that as a resource for people and give it to them. They've got great information on just about any skincare products, cleaning products, household products, and foods that you could want. So I think they're terrific. I'm happy that you mentioned that. And the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen, I've seen they have little cheat sheet cards that you can print out and put them right in your wallet. So when you go to the grocery store, you don't have to remember 12 things and 15 things. You can have your little cards and say, okay, these are dirty dozen, these are the clean 15. I know what I need to buy when I'm at the grocery store and make sure that these are organic. So that's a really good tip.
Yes. Yeah. And good point. There's a little cheat sheet there so you can kind of have a card in your purse or your pocket. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are great. I love them. I know plenty of people who walk around with that and they'll come and they'll say, look what I have. I keep it in my wallet now, and it goes with me everywhere I go. And I thought that's just a great idea.
Yeah.
We carry enough stuff around, I feel like, in purses and wallets, and might as well be actually useful things for
Right.
once. I think everyone's got a wallet full of punch cards and cards they never use and this or that. Why not have useful little guides in there? And you can even get it up on your phone too. I know they've got phone apps and you can make notes, but yeah, it's a great idea to have that information readily available to use to help make smart, informed choices when you're at the grocery store.
Right. And it is so helpful. I mean, we all need reminders all the time. So it's not just, with that card, but that is so helpful to have because I mean, tomorrow you might forget and you're like, I've got a million other things going on in my mind. So wait, what was it again? So I agree. Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about just cooking in general. And one of the things that I think people struggle with is just techniques for cooking. So when people think healthy, you're not going to think deep fried, right? But what is a way to think about cooking food in a healthy way? Because everybody doesn't want to just do everything raw. Some people say, I got tired of just eating carrots by themselves. So obviously there are ways to prepare these foods. What are some good cooking techniques that are healthy for people?
Yeah, I think the number one next to raw would be to steam. So if you have a steaming basket, that would be helpful just because you're not cooking it like crazy. Whereas if, yes, like you said, deep fried or if we're sauteing something, it can be very, and again, depending on what you're sauteing it in, but it can be unhealthy in that sense. I'm not saying don't do it because I know that everybody's got to do what they have to do, but to really back off a little bit on some of that, like deep frying and lots of oil, and even roasting is okay. It's just, again, when we're cooking that many more nutrients out of it. So the digestive and the enzymes in there are breaking down. So steaming would probably be something I would encourage, or something that's slow cooked. So if you have a crock pot as an example, where it's going to be set on low. So anything that's a lower temperature is the best if you're cooking, anything in the crock pot, low and slow. That's the reason to, that there's that saying, but low and slow. And even when you just said carrots and, okay, I'm tired of eating carrots or whatever, if you get some veggies, is have a really good dip. There's multiple veggie based and just delicious dips that you can make that are cleaner, they're plant-based, and that way you can eat your veggies with something. Otherwise it does get kind of boring eating your veggies by itself, and it's good, and you want to get to that point where you can do that, but you want to add a little extra to it and get more nutrients in too by making a specific dip. It's a good way to get extra nutrients in.
Yeah, I like that. There are options other than ranch, it's like a lot of people, that's the only one they think about. Oh, I got veggies and I have carrots and ranch. I have cucumbers and ranch. I have peppers and ranch. And it's nice to have that option and a resource like you where they can get other recipes and information for other dips that aren't just ranch dressing over and over again. So I think that's a great option. And one thing you're talking about cooking. Are there any oils that you like people to stay away from or that you prefer people to use?
Yes. And that was going to be something I was going to mention. I'm so glad you brought it up. So that would be, if you can do low cook, if you need to cook anything really low, is I would say olive oil, but don't cook anything in olive oil if you can help it. The only reason I say that is because it's beautiful. It's just meant to be used cold. So if we want to put it on a salad, if you need to use oil, it's just getting an extra virgin, high quality olive oil and this is going to make a difference too, is looking at the package and making sure it's not in plastic when you're buying your olive oil, making sure that it is in glass. It's usually a very dark glass because that's going to keep it from going rancid.
Yep.
And just finding, of course, that particular, on the back, it should say where it's coming from. You want it to be typically a product of the same place that it is packed in. So product of Italy, as an example, and packed in Italy, and it's just the olives from Italy or just the olives from California, just from Greece. So that way, it's a cleaner source, or it's hopefully going to be a cleaner source. I would say even for coconut oil, when you're cooking things on higher heat, that would be a little bit easier to cook in coconut oil. And I'd say an extra virgin or a virgin unrefined coconut oil. I know the expeller pressed one, which is refined, is going to have less of a coconut flavor, but really you can't taste it too much on your food if you're using the virgin unrefined, because it just has a little bit more of a higher smoke point. And for a cold pressed like grapeseed oil.
Sure. Yes.
So, and even like an avocado oil. So cold pressed avocado oil too. So those would be more of a choice of the oils. I would say 100% stay away from canola oil. That is a completely unproductive oil for the body. It is no good. And most of it's genetically modified, unfortunately. So vegetable oils, please stay away from as well. Those are not good at all. It sounds healthy because it's a vegetable,
yeah.
but it's very unhealthy.
Right. No, I think that's great information. And there are a lot of oil options out there and blends. So I'm really happy you went over even cooking points for them. I know for us, we make sure we get the olive oil in the glass bottle, and, we'll even go ahead and keep it in the fridge and make sure that we've got our olive oil at a good temperature. We tend to use it a little bit more on the cold side, but I'm happy you brought up temperature and cooking and oils to use. I think that was really great information that a lot of people struggle with, because if you go down the section of the grocery store, I mean, it's just filled with oils. You don't know what's better for what or why. And so people tend to just grab what they know and don't really try other things or experiment with other things. So I think that's really helpful information. And you were just chock full of all kinds of great info. And I very much appreciate it. And I appreciate you coming and talking today and kind of letting everybody know all these helpful little tips. But if people wanted to get in touch with you and connect with you and find out about more of what you have to offer, how could they do that best?
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate you having me on. So you can find me on social media, on Facebook and Instagram as Passionette Palette. So again, being a play on my name, so Passionette Palette. And on Facebook, I have a closed Facebook group called Holistically Healthy. And it's basically a community where we share recipes, different holistic healing tips and tricks and all of that fun stuff, more based, like I said, on holistic healing and health. So, and then also on LinkedIn as Annette Licitra, in case anybody's on LinkedIn. And my website is just passionpalette.com. Resources on there. And again, some more information on the cleanses that I run. So typically they're 14-day cleanses, and these are really good meal plans. So if anyone's looking and, trying to figure out how to start and what do I do and where do I begin on trying to eat a little bit healthier, these are really good because I provide the grocery lists and the meal, the whole meal plan and the recipes. So that's just another thing that would be helpful, but that's where you can find me.
That is great. Thank you so much for all your information. Thank you for talking and sharing your expertise. I very much appreciate it. And I think what you do is wonderful. You provide a great service to the community, and we are very grateful that you are out there helping and healing people. Thank you so much, Annette.
Oh, thank you so much too. I really appreciate that. And you're doing the same, and I appreciate you. So thank you.
Thank you.